You're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Green Bay Packers content. Created for the fans, by the fans.
All right, what's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on Packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Email us, PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. You can text us 865-658-5824. Join alongside Emilio in Tennessee, here to talk Packers 49ers, as it is Friday evening, November the 22nd, and got some huge injury news that dropped earlier today. We kind of talked about it a little bit last night. There were many people just kind of shrugging it off like, they're playing, they're throwing smoke signals type thing. And like I said, got some huge news in regards to the San Francisco 49ers and their health or lack thereof. Before we get into it, let's give a quick shout out tonight to the good folks over at Ticket King, the official ticket provider of Packer Fan Total Access Live. Wisconsin-based since '92, specializing in Packers tickets. They're Wisconsin's largest ticket source with offices next to Lambeau and in Milwaukee. Click on the link in the video description that'll send you to their website, theticketking.com. You can register over there and go ahead and start shopping for your Packers tickets. Again, that's Ticket King, the official ticket provider of Packer Fan Total Access Live. So, Emilio, we kind of hit on this last night, man, and Brock Purdy, Nick Bosa, both on the injury list, as well as Trent Williams. Yep. And you're kind of going, you might have one of those guys sit out, but there's not going to be two of them missed, right? Well, we had the breaking news earlier today, actually just not too long ago. NFL tweeted out 49ers roll out quarterback Brock Purdy and defensive end Nick Bosa Sunday at the Packers. Now, there's some people on Twitter going, the 49ers will change their mind. They'll be playing. This is just them playing game. They can't do that, guys. Once they're ruled out, that has never happened, that a player has been ruled out and then they end up playing in the game. Okay. And you guys know the way Vegas ties into everything with the betting odds and all that and the partnership they have with the NFL. It's just something that they don't want to open that can of worms. So definitely, no doubt about it, Brock Purdy and Nick Bosa are going to be missing Sunday's game, the matchup there at Lambeau Field, 3:25 kickoff. Emilio, this is huge news, man. Again, we kind of talked about the injury report, and it's like I kind of felt like Brock Purdy probably wasn't going to go, but I almost assumed that Nick Bosa would go out there, right? Wouldn't practice all week and go out there on Sunday and play, but man, this is big time for the Packers here.
Definitely, and we had talked about that with Kyle when I was listening to his interview. It was kind of like, we'll give him right up to game time, that last whatever hour and a half till they have to decide. And the fact that they called him out this early, I think that's a big statement. I mean, that they're not even going to make it through the weekend. That obviously, I'm sure they're going to travel with the team, right? But Matt was talking. It's going to change a little bit, but it's not going to change everything about the team you're about to face, right? I mean, they're still going to try to move the ball like Kyle wants to. They're still going to try to get pressure with the front four, but I know we've looked at some of those numbers, and it does drop when he's not on the field. In both instances, Purdy or Bosa, so definitely will hurt him.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I've still got that screen grab here. So Rob Domofsky had tweeted out big difference in the Niners pass rush with and without Bosa on the field. With Bosa, the pressure rate is 33% and the sack rate is at 8%. Without Bosa, it drops from 33 all the way down to 18%, and the sack rate drops all the way from 8% to 2%. Man, it's absolutely huge that he's not playing in this game. And It allows you to as Prince in the chat, appreciate you, Prince. He says Bosa not even making the trip. What it allows you to do,
that's huge. I mean, you don't want to see the injury, right? But that's big for even the team captain type thing, setting that tone.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. That stuff matters. And even being on the sidelines, giving tips to the other pass rushers, like we talked about that, earlier in the year, how Preston Smith, even though he wasn't getting as many snaps those first few weeks, you could see him coaching up guys on the sideline, and then when they were on the field, he was still giving tips. Obviously, got all that veteran experience. And Nick Bosa is a top 3 pass rusher, no doubt.
Definitely. You heard the same thing about how you were talking about P. Smith. You heard that in Rashawn's interview. He's like, dude, I got a lot to thank for Preston for me being, the pass rusher I am and where I've got to in this sport. So that stuff is real. That stuff definitely helps him. Him not even being on the sideline is going to be big.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree, man. And again, it's good news. It doesn't mean it's a slam dunk win. You got to come out ready to play. And we know that Kyle Shanahan, listen, he's not going to roll over for Matt LaFleur. It's not going to happen. They are so competitive. They're friends, obviously, and ultra competitive with each other all the way back to the Piss Boys day at Washington, way back in the day when they were all on the same coaching staff. Now, the question is, who's going to be playing for him? We played a video yesterday showing a San Francisco 49ers beat writer or insider, whatever you want to call him, Grant Cohen, I think it was.
Yep.
It said Brandon Allen, right? And immediately everybody's like, no, it'll be Josh Dobbs. It'll be Josh Dobbs. Well, lo and behold, this came out from Adam Schefter earlier. 49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan announced quarterback Brandon Allen will start Sunday against the Packers in place of the injured Brock Purdy. So, it's going to be very, very interesting to see what he can do. We actually pulled his PFF card here that we could take a look at, as well as Badger Trio on the chat says, but also we're playing quarterback with no film. Quarterback with no film, to me, Badger Trio, honestly, that's not that big of a deal because they're looking to attack the same space that any quarterback is, right? Mm-hmm. You know what style of quarterback he is. If you had never seen him play a snap in his whole entire adult life, and then they come out on Sunday and they're like a crazy, extreme, scrambling quarterback, that could be a mismatch, a disadvantage, right? But in this case, you know how Kyle's going to try to attack the defense, the same way that the Packers are going to try to attack San Francisco 49ers defense, seeing that they're both schematically very, very similar to one another. But do you know anything about Brandon Allen before we pull this card here, Emilio? Because I honestly didn't.
No, I'm clueless on where we're at with him.
All right, well, let's take a look real quick. His PFF career grades here. Let me drop that down. So Brandon Allen, 6'2", 209. He came out of Arkansas, was drafted in 2016. So this is his 5th year in the league. He was a 6th-round pick 201. All right. And so 2019 PFF grade, 48.7. 2020, 56.5. 2021, 42.3. In 2022 for Cincinnati, only 12 snaps, but he jumped to a 74.9. And then this year, he's only had 1 snap. PFF grade is 60. Obviously didn't really do anything.
Here's the
there.
guy.
And that one snap came with the New York Jets. So, again, if he was a good quarterback up to this point, he'd be on a roster somewhere starting, okay? That doesn't mean that Shanahan can't put together a game plan to just allow him to lean on the run, right? It's going to come back to what we talked about, even if Brock Purdy played with a bum shoulder, Emilio. You got to stop the run, man.
Yep. Yeah, and that's the problem is Kyle's still going to try to want to work the middle of the field, right? That's where Brock Purdy wants to look. He's still going to try to get that play action pass. I think they're going to want to lean on Christian McCaffrey, but he's coming off a rough game. If their tackle's out, I know, he's probably on veteran rest, but that could be an issue too. Snap count, different, holder, fumbled exchanges, all those things could be a potential issue. But yeah, I think we got to run and we have to stop their run. And that's what it's going to come down to. And I was listening to Coach before this, and they were talking about how, or Michael Lombardi was saying how everyone talks about, you need to get out you need to pound the run to, set up the pass or set up the pass to get your run game going. He goes, why don't you just pound out a lead and then that'll set up the rest of your game for you. So, hammer a lead, create that lead, and then the rest of the game will sort of fall into place. And Bill was saying, you get yourself ahead at half, you put yourself in a lot better position to then be ahead at the end of the third, which in turn you're ahead at the end of the fourth. So, just keep your head down, keep moving. Doesn't matter who's out there. Just look at the helmets and numbers and play football.
That's it, man. And again, I don't think that NFL players go out there. Maybe the elite of the elite think a little bit like this, but I don't think there are many players in the league at all that go out there thinking, this guy's bad at football. They're all have this mutual respect. Like, you can't be bad at football and make it to the National Football League. You just can't. Now, Some are better than others. There's no two ways about it. But again, if you draw up a perfect scheme, you can do some damage. So I'm hoping they come out and blank the 49ers, right? But the reality is those guys are going to be up for this game too. There's not been a Kyle Shanahan team that's fell flat very often. Now, they do have some reverse momentum going right now with the way they lost that last game. And then obviously they lose their starting quarterback. They lose their best player on their roster, let alone the best player on their defense, right? And then like Coach Lynn mentioned here in the chat, Trent Williams probably out. Also, he is questionable officially, and we'll pull up that entire injury report here in a second. But again, Brandon Allen is going to get the game ball tomorrow. He's going to go out there and try to, Sunday. I keep saying tomorrow, man. I can't wait for it to get here. I'm
just going to skip a day.
Right.
Do you think they made that call about Purdy and Bosa just because of where they kind of were earlier, walking the line with Christian earlier in the year? Do you think that they were like, all right, if they're really not going to play, like we can't walk this up to the line?
That's a great point, man. Because are you saying like suggesting maybe the league push back on them a little bit, like, hey, look, let's get our
if the league pushed back on them, or them saying, hey, we walked it a little close on that last one, they were breathing down our necks kind of thing, maybe we should adjust.
It's funny you mentioned that because I forgot about that. I would say that probably did play a little bit of a role, to be honest with you, man. I could see that being the case.
And especially in like two profiles, so your quarterback and your star DN, like you can't walk that line 3 times in a year sort of thing.
Yeah, and again, guys, we'll show you the line here just to confirm in a second, but this is so big that it went from, and I pointed this out, earlier in the week, a guy said the line suggests that Brock Purdy's playing, and I responded and said the line has moved 1.5. So as if he's not playing. Well, when we did the morning show, we were 3-point favorites. Now we're 5.5-point favorites. That's how much the line has moved. Now, was it more Brock Purdy than Nick Bosa or vice versa? Who knows? But regardless, pretty huge swing there. Badger Trio says in the chat, if we can head into Detroit for Thursday Night Football in 2 weeks, 9-3, I'll be happy. I agree, man. That would be huge, Emilio, to go into Thursday Night Football 2 weeks from now and be sitting at 9-3. You got a legit shot at number one seed if for some reason Detroit was to slip up. Now, it's going to take some major injuries and something going really, really wrong, I think, for Detroit to slip up because they got that train humming right now, bro.
Yeah. Oh no, Vita kicked in for Detroit, man. You know what I'm saying? They've been letting it rip. But what I was thinking was we have 2 Thursday night games back to back, and this is just our first of 2 games in 5 days. So you know how like Matt was probably practicing for San Fran and saying, all right, this concept's still going to work against Miami. This is still going to be something that we can use in a couple days, just so that they're not flattened out. I think that would also help if we get out to a lead. We can kind of rotate everybody, keep snap counts where we need them to be if we get ourselves in that sort of pickle. But, that would be absolutely perfect if we could get to Detroit at 9-3, man. We make it a battle. Because at that point, you don't know where the Vikings are either. So,
yeah. Absolutely. All right. Let's see here. Number one Packer fan says, hopefully the Pack prepares if nobody is missing. They will. Listen, Matt LaFleur isn't going to that meeting room going, guys, hey, listen, we're good to go. Purdy ain't playing. Bosa ain't playing. We're going to win this game. I promise you he's not doing that. Yeah, I guarantee you he's highlighting exactly how they're going to shift the focus on offense and if I were them on defense, I wouldn't try to manufacture pressure. I would stick with the 4-man rush and put more in coverage, right? And maybe keying on the run on your way to that coverage as opposed to getting too aggressive, trying to make up for that pressure that's not going to be there for Nick Bosa not being in the lineup. But I think this is a great point right here, Emilio. I mean, you got to go in there and just prepare like, hey, look, this is Brock Purdy. It's not like the backup quarterback's game is so different from Brock Purdy stylistically, right? And in terms of deployment of the players on the field, they're going to look to do a similar thing. Now, they may lean on Debo a little bit more for some end-around stuff to try to stretch the field horizontally and then run vertically with their running back. But,
Right, because Debo's been averaging, I want to say, around 3 carries a game. So that could definitely maybe double this game at least. But, yeah, I think that his same philosophy, same scheme is going to be set in stone. I don't think, it's going to change up. I don't think it's going to kind of be like how we were with Malik, how we, completely flipped it. I think that they're still going to kind of ask him to throw, say 20, 30 times this game just because either he's going to have to or that's how it's going to open up if the run game is setting up the pass sort of thing. And, yeah, if I think Matt was kind of talking about that in his interview. It was like, hey, it doesn't really matter who's out there. We just got to play. It's, even if they do, even if you're not prepared, you still have to be for what's to come, even if they don't play. So I definitely think that's where the head will be.
Badger Tree on the chat says, can't look ahead to the Dolphins. It's key one game at a time. Amen, brother. Ron Samble says Debo is a decent run threat also. There you go. That's exactly what we were just talking about. Rel in the chat, good to see you, buddy. He says, I anticipate us either being 11-4 or 12-3 by Christmas. Boy, I hope you're correct, sir. I hope you're correct. Now, you guys know going into the season, I was thinking 10 to 13 wins, and the number I keep coming up with is 12 right now. I'm kind of settling in at 12. Typically, the way that works is I won't allow myself more than a 3-game buffer there, Emilio, when we pick in the preseason. And then as the season goes along, it's okay. I feel comfortable with 11 now. I'm at that point. I'm almost to the point where 12 is like, okay, I feel really good about 12 wins. How about you, man? Do you think that's unrealistic? I mean, obviously anything can go wrong, and also you could get hot here and run the table.
No, I think that would be pretty sweet. I want to say my guess for the season was 12-4, 12-5, maybe. We'd have to pull the I have to go back and see again, but roll the tape back. But yeah, that would be ideal. That would be a great Christmas present. I mean, even if I don't have a Milwaukee under the tree, I'd be happy with 12-3. That's ideal right there.
I was in a local Ace yesterday, and we were buying mulch. We had to buy like 100 bags of mulch, and we were getting a couple other things. And I walked by one aisle, and I'm telling you, both sides. From the floor to the ceiling was Milwaukee. I almost took a picture, but I'm like, I ain't going to distract him. He needs to be productive out there at work.
Yeah, I would have veered off with the mower, messed up the stripes and all that, man.
You would end up at a local watering hole, drinking your sorrows away out of jealousy, not having everything in that aisle, right?
Mm-hmm.
By the way, Milwaukee Tools sponsor the show. All right. Prince in the chat. Green Bay forecast for Sunday. 46 and cloudy, absolutely perfect football weather. And if I remember correctly, Prince, I think it was something like a 7 to 8 mile an hour wind. So everything's on the table, man. No doubt about it. I'm so fired up for Aaron Rodgers, too, our viewer Aaron Rodgers, not the real Aaron Rodgers. His life kind of sucks right now, but we'll leave that alone. But we got a viewer that is under the name Aaron Rodgers. It's going to be his first trip to Lambeau, and it's going to be to watch that Niners game. This is setting up for them to have at least a much better shot at coming away with the dub. Any trip to Lambeau Field, win or lose, is worth the trip. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I've lost to the Jets by 15 points. I think it was like 25-10. I still had a great time in Lambeau.
It was me, man. My first trip up for the Bears game back in 2003. They lost, and that ride home was 13 hours.
Yep.
And I'm telling you, the whole way back, it was like I can't wait to get back up there. It was still.
I took the work truck up there, and we didn't have any weight in the back. That thing was bouncing the entire highway. So then I stopped at Walmart, grabbed some bags of mulch, and threw it in the bed. And the ride home was a lot smoother.
Love it. Prince in the chat said, from what I saw, Purdy will travel, so he will be on the sideline to help the backup. I think that is huge. I think that's big. Purdy is a well, you heard, if you watched or listened to the morning show earlier today, I read off a tweet that had a quote from Greg Cosell, and he was talking about how Purdy hasn't been playing good here lately because everybody's gotten so accustomed the last 2 to 3 years of him just balling out, and he does it cerebral, if I said that right? He does it with his mind as much as he does the physical tools. To be the Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick in the draft, is just still wild to me, man. It really is. So,
but I mean, everyone says he wasn't able to do it, so maybe, or doesn't have the skills, or maybe Brandon Allen doesn't have the skills, and he can still do the same thing. But we'll see if it's the offense, I guess. Yeah,
Ben Holden said I need to throw some junk in the trunk. United Bates says Emilio has pretty lips. Eric probably.
Eric definitely would say something like
that. Hopefully Eric's doing well. Hope the boy's doing good. I know he's been taking care of some family stuff. Eric Sutherland, one of the greats in here in the chat. You can never read the chat live on the air, but man, he provides the entertainment, no doubt about it. So here's the latest PFF preview, and they're calling for, actually, this is saying 37 degrees and overcast. Maybe something changed. I'm going to check the app because my weather forecast was much like the what we just heard a second ago. Yeah, on mine, it's still showing 46 and cloudy. So anyway, ignore that here on PFF. But as far as the point spread, and you can kind of see where the market was, the market opened up at 2.5, and then it jumped, or it dropped to 2, meaning the Packers were 2 point. So they went from 2.5 point favorites to 2 point favorites, which means probably had some money come in on the Packers, right? And that dropped that number a little bit.
Yep.
All of a sudden, you started hearing the rumors. It went from 2 to 2.5 when we heard about Purdy's shoulder being sore, and then it dropped all the way down to 3 when he started practice yesterday, and then had to sit out the rest of practice. And then today, when the news dropped, you went from 3.5 all the way down to the current line of 5.5. Now, if you look, PFF still has the number at minus 2.6. So they've got it much closer. And you'll see they've got a 2% value chart here on taking San Francisco plus the points, which is kind of going with what we're saying here. Don't count your chickens before they hatch. It's still going to be a tough battle, no doubt. That's still a really good football team. I don't care how wounded they are. As far as the spread there, like I said, the 5.5 we talked about, it's an even minus 110 for each. PFF projection here now has it at 4.6. Okay, as we're over there, they were showing it at 2.6. So maybe that hasn't been updated yet. So if their PFF projection is the Packers as 4.6 point favorites, that's really interesting. Now they're saying the cover probability for that plus 4.6 for the Niners is at 53.9%. As far as the money, 64% of the cash is on the Niners plus 5.5. 76% of the tickets or the overall bets is on the Niners at plus 5.5. So the public is all over that plus 5.5. So again, I hope we boat race them, but everything we're looking at suggests it's going to be closer than we may or may not think there with Brock Purdy and Nick Bosa being out. Now, as far as the money line, the market just winning outright, the juice is obviously on San Francisco at a plus 198. The Packers are at minus 242. That's a good sign there. And then when it comes to just the overall money line, 61% of the cash is on Green Bay to win outright, 50% of the tickets. It's split right down the middle on tickets. So tells you that the Sharps are on Green Bay to win outright, and they're on San Francisco to cover there at that plus 5.5. So that's going to be.
Everybody on the spread, Clayton, trying to cover for
pat you
San
on the
Fran.
butt and you poop my hand. So
exactly. You never want to pat somebody on the butt so they can poop in your hand.
Never. And also, we were talking about going to Lambeau Field, and Aaron Rodgers himself popped in the chat, said, "Sup, fellas, one more sleep. LFG, go Pack, go, man." That's it. That's all it's all about, man. Wait till you walk in. Wait till you just all right. So you get inside the stadium, right? And that first off, when you see it up close, get the chills. Walk in, get the chills. Once you break that threshold and get out of the darkness of the atrium and then into the stadium, unreal, man. Absolutely unreal.
Do yourself a favor. Don't go to concessions first. As soon as you walk through the atrium, okay? Yep. Go through the atrium. It might be a little crowded. That's okay. Go through the atrium and just appreciate the fact that they've got the lines painted in the atrium floor. And what they've done with that, pterodactyl out of here, right? What they've done with that is as you walk in, you can look down and it might show 20-yard line and it looks like a football grid, like a football field. You're actually standing horizontal with the 20-yard line on the field. So if you go through those gates out the atrium, as soon as you clear those gates, don't do anything else. Go straight to the first breezeway.
Yes.
Get a glance at that. It's just unbelievable.
That feeling. Yeah. Once you see that, once it lights back up, man, it's crazy.
Yeah. My favorite part of the game that me and Jacob and Justin and the gang went to was hands down watching Jacob's reaction when he had never had access to the loft. And, we had gotten tickets in the box, in the suites. And one of the perks is you got separate concessions that are really, really nice. It's much like what we experienced at Tennessee with the Titans game.
I got you. Yep.
It's almost like a VIP version of getting tickets, but you also get access to the loft. So if you're standing at the very top of Lambeau Field, underneath the scoreboard, right, I want to say it's the north end zone, there's what they call the loft. They got a concession stand and drinks up there as well. It's mainly just drinks up there, but it is just at the very top roof level of Lambeau. You can hang out there and watch the whole game if you want to. You can go up there for pregame. We always like to go up and watch the flyovers up there. Man, it's just absolutely awesome. It's so cool. But seeing Jacobs' reaction made the whole trip for me, man.
I bet my reaction would be just the same because I haven't been. I was in the bowl. I was row like 2 or 3, I think. Packers side on like the 15 or 20. So I was definitely down in close. Definitely need to make it back.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice. There we go.
I'm going to record my reaction and I'll upload it to Twitter. Please do that, man. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be absolutely awesome. And looks like he's in row 45. There you go. Good stuff. Nice.
If you shed a tear, it's okay.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. No one's man card will be revoked shedding a tear at Lambeau Field for the first time. Ron Sample says going to be a lot of blaze orange in the stands. Yes, there is, boys. We know that's where Timothy is right now. Tim out there trying to bag him one. So we'll see if he lands one or not. If so, I'm gonna need some of that deer jerky, no doubt. Anything else you want to hit on as far as the gambling numbers here, Emilio? The other thing I did want to point out, Brandon Ayuk, being on IR,
right?
That's huge for them, right? And he's been out for some time now. So not only are they without their top edge rusher and their starting quarterback, they're without, many people would say, their number one wide receiver. At least they paid him like that, right?
Exactly, and he was the one holding out. I mean, and honestly, he got paid, right? Because if he didn't hold out, what if he got hurt, didn't get paid? I mean, that's the battle that they're fighting. So, tough that he did get that injury, but yeah, you lose your top guy like that. Christian McCaffrey just coming back from injury, he's still trying to get going. Everything's still kind of out of whack, and like you said, lose your quarterback, you're disheveled. You still have George Kittle though. You still got Debo. You still have players that can make plays on the field. We can't take it lightly, even though they lost their quarterback. We played with Malik, and he's undefeated except for that one play in the Eagles. So,
yep, good point. If you guys would take a quick second, hit that like button for us here on YouTube. We appreciate you making us a part of your Friday evening as we're getting set for an awesome weekend of football. I know we're going to have tomorrow Notre Dame. And I think it's Army at Yankee Stadium. If you guys didn't watch the Northwestern game last week where they played at Wrigley, it was just unbelievable, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. There's a chance for some rain up there, I think. But tomorrow, college football galore. Obviously, you got Indiana, who came out of nowhere this year to be ranked in the top 10. They're playing Ohio State at Ohio State. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then, obviously, we got the Packers 49ers this weekend. It's just going to be a glorious weekend.
That Indiana-Ohio State game is going to be big.
Yeah, it is, man. Because listen, many people were talking like, man, what if they beat them? What if they beat? And what I'm seeing from Ohio State fans is we're just going to smack them in the mouth. And Ty Schmidt said it on the Pat McAfee show earlier today. He was like, it's not going to be anything in between. Indiana wins or Ohio State blows them out is what people were saying.
Really? That's crazy.
It's going to be interesting.
Who's I'm not sure who the other – I forget his name. The other guy that hops on with DJ and Buck on their Move the Sticks podcast, where they always draft like the rookies and stuff. So like they had the thing where they draft the rookies. Dude is always wearing Indiana gear. He hasn't taken it off all year, being 9-0 now. So it's gonna be big, man.
Definitely. All right, so we've hit on the 49ers injury situation pretty handily here. Let's jump over to the Packers side. We got a little bit of bad news here. Rob Domofsky tweeted out earlier today, only 2 Friday players that did not participate. That's Jair Alexander with the knee and Edgerrin Cooper with the hamstring. He quote tweeted that 2 hours later and said, Edgerrin Cooper will be ruled out for this week. LaFleur tells reporters just now, but doesn't think it will be long-term. Also doesn't think Alexander will need to go on IR. So my guess is, seeing that you don't think Jair, you don't think he's going to go on IR, that tells me he's not going to play either, right? Because if you're even 2% questioning putting him on IR, he is not going to play on Sunday. So, when it comes down to here is you're going to be without Edgerrin Cooper and without Jair Alexander, it sounds like. And I'm okay with that. That's a pretty decent trade-off for Brock Purdy and Nick Bosa.
Mm-hmm. I think that's totally fair. I honestly didn't even look at it like that. That is a great trade-off. I was looking at it as the fact of you might as well just chalk them both up to being ready to play for Detroit and you just count them out, put them on the injury list for the next 2 weeks, be ready for the next Thursday night game in Detroit. But I'm fine with it if they can come back healthy and play. Coop came back from something earlier. Jair, I just hope that he gets better so that, if he can stay healthy once he comes back through our whatever run we have, I'd be happy. I wouldn't be happy about the early, misses, but
Right.
break back to 50% hopefully on playing your games, and we'd be all right. But yeah, no, that's a good trade-off.
Yeah, I'm feeling good about it. And again, make sure those guys get healthy, especially Edgerrin Cooper. That sounded really bad. I'm not saying that we don't care about Jair. It's just Jair's a veteran. He knows how to handle things. We know he's gonna play it cautiously anyway. Edgerrin Cooper comes across as that hair on fire guy that if the training staff don't protect him, he's liable to go out there and play when he shouldn't. And
right, they need to reel him in because he's probably not going to do it himself. And Keyshawn was talking about how he's, or he made a joke about, checking on Jair, but not like that. He's like, but mentally I'll check on him, and make sure he's okay. Physically, there's not much he can, do by that, but that's all it is, get past the mental hurdles and don't let it take you down.
Yeah, definitely. So when we look at the entire injury report, Jair Alexander's already ruled out. So there you go. I was thinking that I'd heard that, but I wasn't 100% sure. Edgerrin Cooper ruled out. Kenny Clark's good to go. Josh Jacobs, Elton Jenkins, Josh Myers, Rasheed Walker, and Evan Williams were all full participation and good to go. Josh Jacobs was limited, but he's good to go. No game status applied here. Kobe Wooden is questionable. I would say they'll probably sit him out another week would be my guess. Now, when you jump on the San Francisco side, Tatum Bethune, linebacker, out. Nick Bosa, edge rusher, out. Jacob Cowing, wide receiver with a concussion, out. John Feliciano, questionable. He's their center. Defensive tackle Kevin Givens with the groin injury. He is now officially listed as out. George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, both full participation, so they will play unless something happens really, really strange between now and Sunday. So they are going to have arguably their two best offensive players out there, right? Brock Purdy, we talked about, is out. Charvarius Ward, the personal matter, he had suffered a loss in the family. Thoughts and prayers go out to him, obviously, first and foremost. So evidently he's going to miss the game for that reason. And again, it's just a tough situation. I won't get into all the details because I don't have all the details and I don't want to speculate on anything like that. Just know that it was a pretty heavy loss in his family there. And then Trent Williams with the ankle did not participate on Friday. He is listed as questionable. So there's a decent chance, like Coach Lynn said, that Trent Williams might not play here with the ankle too, Emilio.
Yeah, and not having him on your blind side is going to be a problem for a new quarterback stepping into this offense. That's just a tough injury report to see for San Francisco, right? I mean, it's just not going their way. They just have had bad breaks all season. This is another one, man. You're losing guys on both sides of the ball. It's not even like one side's getting hurt more than the other. It's like a plethora on both. And like you said, you already have Ayuk on IR and all that. So yeah, tough.
It is. It is tough. But that's football, man. I mean, I know a lot of fans were laughing at us because of the bad break we had early in the year with Jordan Love tearing the MCL or spraining the MCL, I should say.
Right.
There's no fan base is feeling sorry for anybody right now. It's just, this is the NFL. This is what happens every single year. Ron Sample in the chat said, does Hafley get heavy with the rush or be too worried about the run? I hope he's worried about the run. I hope we first and foremost focus on stopping the run, Emilio, and make the backup quarterback beat you. Period. Case closed. I don't know how you feel about that. I'm not interested in heating him up. I'm interested in making him throw the ball. Let him throw the ball into our secondary with 7 in the coverage and make damn sure that you're containing the run because they do have a stud at running back. I'm sure we'll hit on that here in a second.
Yeah, I think that Hafley, and we looked at it, he's not blitzing a bunch, right? We don't bring a bunch of 5, 6, 7, 8 guys. I think we just stick to what we know. Keep up the sim pressures. I think you can maybe push him or test him a lot with a little bit of fake looks and a little bit of NASCAR and who's coming sort of thing. I wouldn't be too worried about it. I would, unless they really start cranking it up and gashing you. I would kind of stick to where you've been. I don't think we've been horrible on defending it.
Yeah, I agree. Let's see. We got Tontron in the chat. I hope I'm saying that right. Only minus 5.5 points with all the injuries that the 49ers has with the question mark. Did the thinking emoji. Yeah. Again, man, I think it's going to be a close game. I think there's a decent chance it's going to be decided in less than 7 points.
That ain't no problem. That ain't no problem.
Well, that's right, Shannon. Ron Sample says even with all the injuries, the 49ers have been in every game. That's Kyle Shanahan, man. He's going to have them in the ball game, no doubt. Yep. So let's see here. Aaron Rodgers in the chat says, I wonder if it's coincidence that they are this injured. They are an older team. They constantly make deep playoff runs, which is extra wear and tear on their bodies. That's a great point too, man. We don't talk about that, but if you play 2 extra games than everyone else 4 years in a row, Emilio, that's a lot of wear and tear on the body, man. It is.
Yep. And like you said, with the age getting up there, that's tough. And it's the Lombardi hangover, right? They didn't quite get there. They didn't quite finish it off, and it's happened a couple times now. How many times are you going to climb almost to the top of Everest and fall another 100, right. 100,000 yards, having to climb all the way back up again?
Yep, definitely. All right, let's shift gears now and jump into. Let me make sure we got everything covered there, and we did. Awesome. Let's hop over to NFL Pro real quick and kind of look at some of their preview here. So obviously we talked about this earlier in the week. Points per game, dead tied in 8th place in the NFL. Both the Packers and the Niners are averaging 25 points per game. Point differential, the Packers are 11th in the league at plus 37. The Niners are 12th in the league at plus 28. Records in close games. We just got through talking about this is probably going to be a close game even with those guys out. That's the case. Records in close games, the Niners are 2-4. The Packers are 5-2 here in the 2024 season. Average margin of victory, the Packers are 24th at 7.7 points, and the Niners are 17th at 10.2 points. Turnover differential, the Niners are 11th in the league at a plus 3, and the Packers are 7th in the league at a plus 5. Total penalties, they're definitely a more disciplined team as they're 7th in the league with only 60 penalties. The Packers are 20th with 70 penalties. So, and when you break that down with how many games we played this year, Emilio, it basically means 1 extra penalty per game, right? Than the Niners are getting. Not huge, right?
No, that's what I was kind of looking at. I mean, I know I was hard on them earlier in the season with the penalties, but looking at it overall, it's like 60 versus 70. Okay, Hemman and Hahn, where I think the Ravens are last in the league. I don't even know how many they have, but just looking at which team is where with the records, it's not exactly adding up to no penalties equals good record type thing. But I was going to ask you, what do you think of the over under of the 44? Do you think that we would kind of break something like that, or?
Yeah, it's interesting.
Especially with the new quarterback, if McCaffrey's still not there.
To me, it kind of feels like if the Niners are going to win this game, their defense is going to have to show up big, and they're going to have to lean on the run. That would suggest it being a lower scoring game, right? I heard some people throwing out the number 34-27 would be a final score. Now, that was before all the injuries. So, obviously, that would blow the over out of the water. I would probably go under here, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, like we talked about, Trent Williams being banged up too. I think it's a situation, too, that if we jump up to, a 6-point lead, a 10-point lead, whatever, I don't think Matt's going to just keep throwing the ball over the yard. He'll probably press into the run a little bit in that regard. Mm-hmm. He tends to do that and catches hell for it. But the problem is he won't stay with the run when it's working and you're, losing by 3, right? It's like you're on it too quick. So, I would probably say it's tough, but I would probably say under. How do you feel about it?
I was leaning towards under too, just because Matt when he was talking, he was saying, telling the interviewers or whatever, and also Hafley, hey, we keep a team under 20 points, we should win that game. I think that's where we're going to keep him. I think if we can keep him under 20 points, give him a touchdown, or maybe McCaffrey runs 1 or 2 in, McCaffrey gets 1, Kittle or Debo gets 1, and then 2 field goals. Mm-hmm. I'd be perfectly fine with that. We're doing all we need to do. Jordan get us 3 touchdowns and we're off to the races. That's all we need. So I think that I would still put us at under 44 with that though. Yeah.
Coach Lynn in the chat said 49ers beat up from 2 Super Bowl runs, and he went on to say window closed. Could be, man. And that I know this, that like you were talking about earlier, Emilio, that Super Bowl hangover is a real thing, man.
Yeah.
That's a real thing. I mean, look at the Bengals. Bengals haven't been the same since. Everybody was like, this team is young and set to be a dynasty. And then lo and behold, they haven't sniffed the Super Bowl since, have they? So that stuff matters, man. It really does. Daryl in the chat, Packers are better. They've been getting better and better each season. Thank God most of them ain't duds. Have been watching them get better. They're definitely a young team ascending. I think that they haven't played their best football this year, and the fact that you're sitting at 7-3, that's why I can't relate to the fans that are pissed off about this 7-3 record. I don't get it, But I agree with you, Daryl, for sure. Let's see here.
From the tribe was saying, yeah, I definitely believe that San Fran's window's closed. Plus, NFC's getting stronger and stronger. That's true. It seems like that's
Detroit.
where the Lions climbing, man. You got a division, our division, right, Clayton, with 3 teams over 7 wins. That's out of hand.
It's never anything in between. It's always we've either got the worst division or we've got the best. You know what I mean? It's the Lions, though. Listen, they piss me off bad, but there's not a fan in the league that would. I mean, if you said, all right, you could pick any team in the league to model your team after as far as how it's built.
Yeah,
I guarantee you many people are picking the Lions over the Chiefs because the Lions are they're that team that they're built for the playoffs. They'll come out and smack you in the damn mouth in both trenches, right? They got one of the best offensive lines in the league. They got playmakers everywhere, one of the best wide receiver cores. Their defense is stout. It's just all the way across the board, man.
It was either Greg Cosell or Michael Lombardi. They were saying the Lions don't play down to their competition. They set the level. You know what I mean? So that's why they gave Jacksonville the worst loss of their franchise history, right? 52-6 or whatever it was. Like, that's brutal. And that's catching a buzzsaw right there. But if we can play them tight like we did the first time, we have a chance 2 Thursdays from now, but we have to get through these 2 games first.
Yeah. All right, so let's look at the team overview preview here, okay, according to NFL Pro, powered by NextG Stats. Let's start with the 49ers offense against the Packers defense, okay? Overall passing efficiency, they are number 6 in the league. Now, obviously, this is with Brock Purdy, so you got to throw some of this out the window. They're 6th in the league. The Packers' passing defensive efficiency, they're number 9. So that gave the slot advantage to the Niners. My guess is now, Emilio, we probably got a 2-star advantage there. At least a 1-star advantage, probably a 2. So obviously it hasn't been updated since the information has come out. Overall rushing efficiency for the 49ers offense, number 6 in the league. That's going to stay the same. Even if Trent Williams isn't playing at left tackle, he's one of the best run blocking tackles in the game. Still, they're going to be very, very effective at running the football at number 6. The Packers defense is number 18 in that regard. That gives a 3-star advantage to the Niners. In terms of pressure rate, the 49ers offense, 24th in handling pressure. The Packers defense, 26th in creating pressure. So that's somewhat of a push there. Mm-hmm. They don't handle the pressure well. I can't imagine they're going to handle it any better with the backup quarterback playing. But the Packers defense, obviously nothing to write home about there. They're saying no advantage there. So in my opinion, you tell me if you disagree, I would give the overall passing efficiency in terms of the 49ers offense versus the Packers defense. I would give a slight edge to the Packers defense now that Brock Purdy isn't playing. Do you agree with that or no?
I would as well, yeah. The only thing that's going to add to it is getting Christian more involved for them, Christian McCaffrey, more running back passes and things like that. But it's going to be tougher to kind of push the ball down the field with the new quarterback. Yeah.
And again, the overall rushing efficiency there, if we jump out to a big lead, right? Or any lead
at all, right out of the game. Yeah, you could eliminate it, right?
Last week, Matt was going to defer to the second half. This week, I think he's probably taking that football. I could be wrong.
But we talked about that. Yeah, we switched it up for a whole year, started taking the ball. Now we're going to start, giving it. And if he takes it right back, I don't know. But we'll see.
All right, so on to the Packers offense versus the 49ers defense. Overall passing efficiency, the Packers are 11th on offense. The 49ers pass defense is 8th. That gives a slight 1-star advantage to the 49ers. Overall rushing efficiency, the Packers offensive running game is number 8 in the league. The 49ers defense is 17th. That gives a 2-star advantage to the Green Bay Packers. Pressure rate, the Packers offense is 10th in the league as far as handling pressure rate, and the 49ers defense is 12th in applying it. That gives a 2-star advantage to the Packers as well. So essentially what you come up with is one in favor of the Packers against the 49ers offense, one in favor of the 49ers, and one no advantage. So it's kind of a push there. And then with the Packers offense on the field, you've got 2 of these 3 categories kind of going in the Packers' favor. So that sounds like the recipe for a ball game that's probably going to end in a 6-point victory or a 5-point victory, barring anything crazy happening.
Definitely. The only thing I would ask you is with the overall passing efficiency and the pressure rate, and I guess the rushing, do any of those take a hit for San Fran with a Bosa out? Like, are they looking at it?
I'm so glad you pointed that out. That's huge. Yes, hell yes, it does. We talked about the numbers, right?
So maybe put overall passing efficiency to a push, right? Pressure rate, we might get an extra star there. I think that we can kind of work these numbers a little bit with that information.
That's a great point, man. And even with the overall passing efficiency, you would imagine it would improve.
Right. It's not just talking about corners and safeties and how they're doing, or just, how Quay's covering or whatever like that. It's, or Warner or whatever. It's the whole defense as a whole kind of thing. But the other thing that Lombardi and Bill were talking about was being able to convert first downs in first and second down is going to be huge. If you're not putting yourself in those third down opportunities, or if you are their third and short, third and manageables, that's where we have to live. If we have to do a fourth down, fine. Get a first down on first or second, live in third and manageables. We can do wonders in the game.
Completely agree. That's a great point, man. I can see the argument for the Packers having every advantage in terms of their offense against the 49ers defense without Bosa there.
Right.
Because like we pointed out, as Rob Domofsky tweeted out, with Bosa, the pressure rate is 33% and sack rate of 8%. Without it, it drops to 18% pressure and 2% sack rate. So, yeah, I feel comfortable. So I'm glad you pointed that out, man. Going to be fun, man. Can't wait. As Bart Scott once said, can't wait. We need that job. No, we got to get that. Anything else you want to hit on before we wrap up, man? I don't think we should drag us out too long unless you got something you want to talk about. Anything that you feel like we need to hit before we wrap up here, man?
No, I don't think so. It's it's just time for them to show up, right? We got to win out of Chicago, come back home, get a W at home in Lambeau. Got to protect Lambeau, and then Thanksgiving, get that turkey leg for Jordan Love. That's where we're heading. But it's going to be 1 week at a time. It's going to be a quick week, quick turnaround, but we can't go lightly into this. And this is where all our games start switching up times too. We had a bunch of early games. There was that one, I don't know when Packers put it up. It was a video of Josh Myers talking, or no, it was his interview. I'm sorry. And he was talking about how, on late games and night games, he goes, I used to hate him. He used to get up and, do stuff, and he would think about it way too much, be worrying about this, about that. And it would start bugging him. He said, now he just kind of, maybe take a nap, watch some film, go get a little, you got to just kill the time until you're there, or else you're going to go crazy thinking about it.
Yeah, that's a great point. And it sounded like a lot of players like to play at noon. And they said there's nothing better than getting home and watching the second half of the 4 o'clock games.
Right.
Pretty cool. Think about that, the life of a football player, how awesome that would be. Like, I used to think about that when Favre was in Green Bay, when I first became a fan of the Packers back in the early 2000s. It's like, imagine playing a game at Lambeau Field, getting a dub, doing a quick presser, and then going home, kicking back on the couch, icing the knee down, and watching some football. It'd be awesome, man.
Yep.
What do you got there?
And Bates saying here, this is what I was just talking about, big primetime stretch coming up. That's true, man. If you don't have YouTube TV, you're basically in the clear right now here. The only way you're going to – you know what I'm saying? The only one you might have a problem with is the end of the season, week 17 and 18, Vikings-Bears. But for right now, man, let it ride till Christmas.
Yeah. And what they're pointing out here, Niners 3:25 kickoff this Sunday. Then we're going Thursday night on NBC against the Dolphins at Lambeau Field on Thanksgiving night. Going to be awesome. At the Lions Thursday night on December the 5th. That's going to be on Amazon Prime. And then back on Sunday night at the Seahawks for Sunday Night Football on NBC. And then the following week, we got the Saints coming to Lambeau for Monday Night Football.
I'm really excited for Peyton and Eli there.
Oh yeah, that's
going to still do it then. Do they still do it that late in the season?
They still do it, but it's like every now and again you'll get a week where it's like it's not on. I'm like, what the hell happened? So I think they may have
Pick and choose.
Yeah, exactly. and they may take the Saints night off. Who knows?
Right.
And I don't know, they turned Taysom Hill loose last week, so
that's true.
You never know, man. That's a wild card there. So.
And then Vikings there, week 17 at 1:00, and then we don't know on the Bears for week 18 yet.
Yeah, they're gonna potentially flex that. I don't know, man. We'll have to see how the playoffs look, and obviously the Bears are gonna pretty much be out of it, I would imagine. But man, what a way to wrap up the season. What if it is something like, hey, you got an opportunity to climb from the number 6 seed to the 5 seed if you beat the Bears at Lambeau Field week 18 and it colder than a well digger's rear end, man. That's going to be absolutely awesome.
Mm-hmm. They're going to be looking around.
What's Brett Favre doing here?
I'm in town to play the Dolphins, you dumbass.
That's right. We're going to be hitting that draft next week. I promise you. We'll burn it up, man. All right, guys, that's going to do it. Appreciate everybody hanging out in here. The chat was on fire tonight. You guys and gals are awesome. If you would, hit that like button for us before you get out of here. And we will be back tomorrow morning for Good Morning Lambeau. We'll probably lay out the entire slate of games for this weekend coming up and kind of give you guys a little bit of an idea of playoff implications in that regard. And we'll also dive into some of these insights and keys to the game that we didn't get a chance to hit on that are attached here to NFL Pro. So, Emilio, thank you for your time, man. Appreciate you carving it out this evening and hopping on, bud.
Dude, always, man. Love it. Go Pack.
Help me out here if you can.
Oh, see, Tim would have been ready with that.
For those of you listening on the pod,
thank you for making us part of your day. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. And go Pack, go.